Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another deck profile. Today we are going to be doing a deck profile of the new PipStoise, as I'm calling it, or Blastoise and Piplup deck. And yeah, this deck is something I really like. But yeah, you can check out. I have a video that sort of goes into this deck in detail, like a meta-analysis. Talks about all the concepts around the deck, how it works. How it feels in the whole meta currently, which probably will change. This is a very new deck archetype. But yeah, let's jump into the version of this deck that I have built. Note that it probably is going to change a little bit over time as the meta develops, but initially I really like this build. So I think the first thing for Blastoise and Piplup is Blastoise and Piplup. That is the key card to start off with. So yeah, we have 3 Blastoise and Piplups to make sure that we find them. Hopefully off of the draw, but 3 is a good number for any deck where that's your main Pokemon. So 3 Blastoise and Piplup. Now the question is obviously, how are you going to power up water Pokemon? Well, we have the new Kyogre. I think only 3 of these are necessary too. You could run 4, but in the end I was like, yeah, 3 feels good. 3 feels good. So 3 Kyogre is really good in this deck as well. So we're going to run a 3 line of Kyogre, a 3 line of Blastoise, and Piplup. Move that down a little bit so you can see that. There you go. See Blastoise's cute face. And then, outside of that, you don't have a lot of Pokemon left. You got 2 Jirachi. I think Jirachi is really good in this deck. It's a Pokemon that lets you see extra cards, pivot around, etc. So 2 awesome Jirachis in this deck. And then the last 3 are sort of one-offs. So you're going to have 1 Keldeo GX because you're running a water deck. You got to run a Keldeo. It's just necessary. Also, you have energy acceleration. All of your other Pokemon, like this one and this one, need 3 energy to attack. Well, why not throw a Megalopunny and Jigglypuff in there? You never know who you're going to be facing. This could make the game for you late game if they bench a bunch of GXs. So 1 Megalopunny and Jigglypuff GX. And then finally, you do want to see a lot of cards. I think you only need 1 Dedenne. Obviously, the argument of having multiple Dedenne is, what if you prize your Dedenne? What if you prize your Keldeo? You have the ability to take knockouts with this deck without any of this. It's not critical. It is a nice to have, in my opinion. But I do think having 1 Dedenne is helpful in certain situations where you're like, I need to keep drawing. But yeah, 1 Dedenne. And then that's it. You've got, what is that, 3, 6... 8, 11 Pokemon total. So 11 Pokemon gives you options for lots of stuff, but as you would imagine, if you check out the video, this deck needs a lot of water energy to do its thing. So you're using a lot of that Pokemon space for extra water energy. Now, let's talk about trainers. What kind of trainers go into this crazy deck profile? Well, one trainer that I actually quite like, it's a Coach Trainer. Coach Trainer is really good because you're often going to have a tag team in the active. This draws you 4 cards, and Blastoise and Piplup can heal itself with its attacks. So seeing 4 more cards just because you have this in the active is always a good thing. So I'm running 3 Coach Trainers in this version. The next one is, well, sometimes you need to switch out of these Pokemon. So we're going to do 2 Mallow and Lanas. Not only does it let you switch, but it lets you heal. This deck is all about healing and out-healing all your Pokemon's attacks, so long as they can't one-hit KO you. That's what this card helps you do. Next, this card is critical to this deck as well. You have Misty and Lorelei. Another new card, great card. Lets you search for 3 water energy and put them into your hand, so that makes the Blastoise and Piplup really sing. Also, late game, if you've already GX'd and you discard 5 energy when you play this card, not 5 energy, 5 cards when you play this card, you can GX again on that turn. Absolutely broken. Definitely doable. I've done it multiple games now while testing this. So Misty and Lorelei, amazing card for this deck in particular. It's like this card was built for this deck. Quite literally. It's amazing. In terms of other supporters, we've got a nice little lineup of supporters for this deck. We're running 2 Guzma and Halas. Now, the reason for this is you want some things like Choice Helmet, because you have 270 HP. Reshiram is going to be everywhere. This can go grab you a Choice Helmet. This can go grab you a Viridian Forest. And this can go grab you a Special Energy, which, you know, you throw a couple of those into this deck as well. You'll see what Special Energy I'm running in a second. So I think this is a nice card. If you needed to find space, I think this one could potentially go away. But that's my opinion on this one for now. Outside of that, you have 2 Roller Skaters. Now this one lets you draw a card from your hand. If you do, discard a card from your hand and to draw 1, to draw 2 cards, Lord. But if you discarded an energy, you draw 4. This deck with Kyogre likes to see energy in the discard. So you have lots of cards here, this, and this, that let you discard cards. So that's how you get your energy into the discard, is any of these supporters right here. So that's a really great way of doing it. And with this one, you just get to draw 4 when you do it. So really good inclusion in this deck. The last 2 are sort of interesting trainers. We have a Cynthia and Caitlin to help you put a supporter from your discard into your hand. So lots of options there. And if you discard a card, you get to draw 3. More draw is always a good thing in this deck. You want to have a big hand size for that Blastoise and Piplup. And finally, we have Professor Oak's Setup. This is a high roll as a one-off because you really only need this early game. But if you do find it early game, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 different types of Pokemon in this deck. So Professor Oak's Setup is really good. You could get down a Jirachi, a Kyogre, and then use a different Pokemon search to get another water Pokemon. It just really helps you get the pieces that you need onto the field. That is your whole supporter line. Lots of supporters, lots of options, but I felt like it works out really well. It makes your games very versatile. The next thing we're going to look at are the stadium cards. So for this one, I know we're playing Keldeo and Plant is a bad thing, but for this one, we're going to play 3 Viridians. Now, you could play 1 Chaotic Swell in here. You could play 2 Chaotic Swells. I think you could find the room for that. This is an early build, but because we only have 1 Keldeo, I felt like Chaotic Swell was just not necessary. But again, definitely an option there if you want to run more Keldeos and then Chaotic Swells. Run it like some of those Space Dog decks. So that is your stadium. The next thing we're going to look at are how do you find this wide array of Pokemon outside of Professor Oak's Setup? Well, first you have Tag Call. Now this can find you the Pokemon or the supporters. Really awesome. I think 2 Tag Calls, you could go up to even more because you have so many tag team supporters in this deck. So definitely an option there. You have also 2 Cherish Balls. I think you need this to be able to find that Dedenne. You have to have at least 1, so 2 Cherish Balls is good to find a Dedenne, and then go grab a Keldeo if you need. Yeah, or maybe even Blastoise and Piplup, so you can use your Tag Call on your tag team supporters. And then we finally have 4 Pokemon communication cards. These are how you get your Jirachis and your Kyogres out outside of Professor Oak's Setup. And then, yeah, if you are able to get them out, they're good discard fodder late game. So those are all the way that you search your Pokemon. The next set of cards that we're going to look at are going to be how are you getting in and out of the active position outside of Mallow and Lana. We're running 2 switches, and we're also running 2 escape boards. Escape boards for the Jirachis, switches for everything else. Mallow and Lana, you have lots of ways to get in and out of the active with these Pokemon, which is great. So the next cards we're going to talk about are manipulating energy. You are going to have lots of energy on your tag team most likely, so we're going to play tag switch. That way, you know, in certain situations you can get out of the active, heal maybe, bring the energy from Blastoise and Piplup over to a Keldeo or a Megalopony and Jigglypuff. So tag switch, really good card for that. Outside of tag switch, we also have 2 Great Catchers in this deck. I think Great Catcher is really good because you can stall things out, bring things up to hit with your Blastoise and Piplup, bring things up to have to go against your Keldeo, etc. So playing 2 Great Catchers, I think you're going to see that in most of my deck builds. I don't think you need more than that, honestly. But 2 Great Catchers, pretty good. And then lastly, you have 1 Choice Helmet for the Reshiram and Zekrom. really make this guy even beefier so he can't get one hit KO'd by it. And then 1 reset stamp. Yeah, 1 reset stamp feels good. You don't have really any way to just go get a reset stamp, but you know, late game, it can be useful. So that is all the trainer cards and Pokemon thus far. But now we're going to get into the energy, which really makes this deck, it relies on a lot of energy with the Blastoise and Piplup. But first, we're going to talk about the special energy that you're running for that Guzma and Hala, and that is 2 draw energies. I couldn't really think of another special energy I needed to run. Doesn't really need recycle energy, to be honest. So draw energy is like, hey, let's just see more cards. Let's see more cards with this. So 2 draw energies, I think, is working really well for me. Kyogre needs only 1 colorless, so you can throw that draw energy on there and not waste one of your waters. And in terms of water energy, we're going to have 4 water energy. We're going to have 8 water energy. We're going to have, oh, they're going to move these up a little bit. 4, 8. We're going to have 13 total water energies. That feels like a good number. I've never had an issue finding energy, using it. You want lots of energy for Misty and Lorelei and for Blastoise and Piplup in your deck. You could play around with that count. You could say, I don't want Guzma and Halas. I don't need the draw energies. Let me just go up to 15 energy and have a time with that, right? But this is sort of the deck build that I have right now. It's been working out really well for me. But again, if you want to hear my full-on analysis of this deck, how it works, how I feel like it interacts with the meta currently, you can check out that video. Also, if you want to see this deck in action, I'm going to be testing it soon. That video will be up as well, hopefully soon. So yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know what you would add, change to this. Lots of options with this deck. Certainly not a set in stone type of deck profile. So thank you so much for watching. If you like this, definitely feel free to subscribe. Let me know other decks that I should be doing profiles on. And yeah, I will catch you all in a later video. Carpe awesome.